Have you ever gone to something not really expecting much from it? You just think, let me attend, let me see what this is all about. No pressure, no big expectations. And then you leave thinking, hold on, I think that just changed how I see everything. Because that's exactly what happened to me recently. Welcome back to I'm No Rookie. This is a space where we have honest conversations about career growth, teaching, and stepping into something more, especially if you've been in your industry for years and you know you've got more to give. And in today's episode, I want to talk about a workshop I attended during my PhD and how it made me look at my career in a completely different way. Not in a dramatic way, but in a quiet, kind of, oh, I didn't realize I needed to think like that kind of way. So in March, I found myself attending quite a few workshops. Now, if you're doing a PhD like mine, it's not a taught PhD. There isn't any weekly timetable where you show up and everything is structured for you. It's very independent, but there are workshops available and you can attend them based on what you're interested in, what you feel like you need, or just for curiosity. And this particular workshop was about career and academic careers specifically. It was focused on how to position yourself for academic posts. Now, I went in with a quite open mind. I've always said to myself, I'm not closing myself in any direction. Whether I go more into research or more into academia, I want to understand both. So I thought, let me attend, let me see, no pressure. But what stood out to me wasn't just what they were saying, it was when they said it should be happening. Because one of the key things they spoke about was positioning. Not positioning yourself when you finish your PhD or any course, positioning yourself now. And I remember sitting there thinking, oh, so this isn't something you wait for, this is something you build as you go. They were talking about things like publications, conference presentations, being visible in your field, and not in a way that felt kind of intimidating, but in a way that made me realize this is what shows that you're engaged. This is what shows that you care about your development. And then something clicked for me because as I was listening, I thought, hold on, I've already started doing some of these things. I've already done my first presentation. I've got another coming up soon as well. I'm planning another one even after that. And then I started thinking about my previous work, my level 5 research project that someone once told me I should consider publishing. I started thinking about my current experience, even something like using AI to support my learning as I went through my functional skills level 2 maths. All of that I could use and I could bring it to the forefront as a publication. And it shifted something in me because instead of thinking I need to start doing all of this later on, I realized I'm already doing it. And that was the key shift for me. It wasn't pressure, it wasn't feeling behind, it was clarity. Realizing that positioning yourself isn't about waiting until you feel ready. It's about recognizing what you're already doing and building on it. Sometimes we think we're not doing enough because we're comparing it to people who are further ahead of us. But we don't always take a moment to look at our own journey and say, actually, I'm on the right path. I just need to keep going. Now, I want to bring this back to you because even if you're not doing a PhD, the principle is exactly the same. If you're thinking about moving into teaching, if you're thinking about becoming a trainer, an educator, or stepping into something more, you don't want to wait until you've got everything in place. You need to start showing signs that this is the direction you're moving to. That might look like sharing your knowledge more, supporting others informally, running small sessions, speaking up in your workplace, or even just starting to talk about what you know online. Because all of that is positioning. It might not feel like it, but it is. And more importantly, it builds your confidence as you go. And this is something that I see a lot with the learners that come through Developing Educators Academy. They come in thinking they need to have everything figured out before they step into teaching. But as they go through the process, whether it's the level 3 or the level 4, they start to realize they're already doing parts of it. They just didn't see it in that way. And that's where their confidence starts to build. Not from waiting, but from recognizing and developing what's already there. So I want you to think about this. What are you already doing right now that can be seen as a step towards where you want to go? But you've been overthinking it because it doesn't feel like it's big enough, right? So in this episode, I shared how attending one workshop made me pause and look at my career differently. Not because it told me something completely new, but because it helped me see what I was already doing in a different light. It reminded me that positioning isn't something you leave until later. It's something that builds over time, often in a way you don't even realize at the time. If there's one thing you take away from this episode, is that you might already be further along than you think. Don't wait for everything to feel official before you start recognizing your progress. If this episode made you pause and reflect, I'd love for you to share it with someone else who needs that reminder. And if you haven't already, please make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. And if you've been enjoying the podcast, leave a review. It really does help more people find us. And remember, you're no rookie, it's time to take action.